Dear Lauren, I'm writing as a betrayed spouse. When you feel like certain behaviors are there in your unfaithful spouse, but others aren't, and they're very few words, is it okay to ask for and even expect more? There's been some progress since the affair, after heartbreaking indecision on their part. I will admit many things are better. But one thing that's missing is that my spouse hardly ever brings up the affair, rarely verbally expresses sorrow, apologies, empathy, or regret. I suspect they haven't done work around their guilt and shame. Or, who knows, since they aren't open. Is it secret longing for the affair partner? They don't seem to feel like they have any responsibility to talk about the affair or hold themselves accountable. I don't want them fever wallowing in shame, yet I also feel like part of what they need to do is to actually feel bad and sorry. If they do feel this way, it's never expressed. And if they don't, I'd like to know so I can make decisions with eyes wide open. In online spaces, the betrayed partner often says, "My spouse is doing and saying everything right, reinvested in the relationship fully, is remorseful, but I don't know if I can trust them." For me, it feels like I think I can trust them. Their behavior is more like the person I used to know. Yet I don't have any indication that they feel regret and are willing to go the distance in repairing this extreme hurt. I don't know what they need, therapy or time, or other support, but I don't feel like it's something I can live without. To me, what needs to be seems painfully obvious. Resources on this are abundant and easy to find. If they wanted to, they would. Where do I go from here? I know it's not something I can force, but I'm flabbergasted that they won't take on this responsibility of owning their behavior, talking about it, and apologizing. I don't think their discomfort and avoidance should matter more than my pain. And I don't think the responsibility for healing this is all mine. Sincerely, desperate to be seen. Yeah, I resonate with this letter very deeply. And not only from my own experience, but also just the theme of this letter when it comes to infidelity in general, which is exactly what she says at the ending. Why does it feel like the responsibility for healing is mine when I'm the one who needs help healing? When I'm the one who needs to feel like the partner who caused this pain and hurt takes responsibility for the healing, takes charge of the healing. And the truth is, you're completely right. Ideally, the person who had the affair is the healer. Ideally, they step forward. And a lot of times they don't. There's a lot of reasons for this. Affairs can be avoidant behavior. So if you're someone who's conflict avoidant, or you are uncomfortable with emotions, or deep conversations, or even conversations around emotions, then you're not going to bring it up. And it's going to make it seem like you don't care. It's going to make it seem like you're not thinking about your spouse or what you've done. And that's an awful feeling for your spouse. But when you're someone who's conflict avoidant and you stepped out of the marriage, you don't stop being avoidant in the marriage. In fact, you probably get a little more avoidant unless you're doing work on yourself, because you don't want to bring up the very thing that hurt your spouse. It's going to lead to the things that you're trying to avoid, which is emotions, perhaps a little conflict, and it's going to remind both your spouse and you of the very thing that you're trying not to bring up. Now, your spouse never stops thinking about it. So the argument that I hear and that I understand is like, why would I bring up this thing and remind my spouse of the pain? Like, what if they're having a good day? Well, if they're having a good day, that's great. But I guarantee you, there is barely a moment that goes by that they are not carrying this around with them in their heart and in their mind and in their bodies. It's just not how it works. You don't have a broken arm and forget that it's broken. You can go for a walk with your broken arm, you can laugh with your broken arm, but you don't forget your arm is broken. It's the same thing with infidelity. If it's not healed, it's still aching, it's still an open wound, it still needs tending to, and it's not going to heal without the active work and without the attention that it deserves. It's that very attention that unfaithful spouses don't want to give because it reinforces their shame. They just want to come away from the shame or move forward. That's what I find in my practice. Because why would you want to spend time in that really uncomfortable space, right? As humans, we move away from discomfort and we stay where we're more comfortable. So for the betrayed spouse, what's happening is they're living in discomfort and it makes them feel less uncomfortable to bring it up. It makes them feel less uncomfortable to work on it. It makes them feel better and in less pain to go towards the thing that's causing them pain as a form of relief and healing. The opposite feels true for the unfaithful spouse. It feels like it is more painful to spend time in that space, and it is less painful to come away from that space and try to regain a sense of normalcy. And this is where the great divide comes in. And it's a really hard thing for couples to get through. It's a really, really hard thing because what it requires is for the unfaithful spouse to actually go towards the thing that for them is symbolic of pain and discomfort, because doing so helps their betrayed spouse to be relieved of pain and discomfort. And that doesn't last forever, but I can guarantee you it lasts a lot shorter, it lasts a lot less long if you actually do it. So what I find is that people get stuck in a pattern where they avoid, and then they're like, well, why is this healing process going on forever? Well, it's because you're not going towards the pain enough to heal it. So like it just keeps getting reinfected. It doesn't take the healing course that it needs to because no one is tending to it actively, because you feel as the unfaithful spouse like tending to it is really, really uncomfortable and undesirable for you. Meanwhile, the person who is bleeding out needs that form of attention. So all that to be said, desperate to be seen, you're not wrong. And you have to figure out what's going on here with your spouse in terms of like why they're not stepping forward. It sounds to me like part of you knows that this is a part of their characteristics. This is a part of their personality. They're more the person that they used to be than the person they were during their affair. Is this kind of who they used to be? Passive, maybe a little bit avoidant, maybe a little bit unemotional, maybe not really wanting to go deep. So do the inventory. Like, are you dealing with the person that you've always been married to here? And now it's suddenly not working when it comes to the equation of healing from an affair, right? Because then the question becomes, are we really going to be able to grow from this? Or is it just a reversion to the version of us that was before the affair? And frankly, desperate to be seen, I'd like you to read this letter to your unfaithful spouse. Because as I was reading it, all I kept thinking is, well, the person you need to ask is your unfaithful spouse. What's going on here, right? And not from a place of like contempt or attack or shaming. Like truly, I need something that I'm not experiencing in the aftermath of this betrayal. And I don't know where that's going to leave me if I don't have that here. I don't know what's going to happen if it's not possible to walk this path. You need answers and you need to begin to have some hard conversations. And unfortunately, if you're with someone who's passive and avoidant and avoids going deep, you might be with someone who's not really interested in doing the work. And something I say to people in sessions all the time is like, not everyone is interested in doing the work. Like I remember my therapist saying that to me. And it wasn't about my marriage. It was actually about a relationship I was in after my divorce. And she was like, not everyone wants to go deep, Lauren. Not everyone wants to do the work on themselves. Most people actually don't. They just want to live their lives. Now, if that's your spouse, he just wants to go back to living his life, then you're stuck with the question, is that going to work for you? Because it sounds to me like the answer is no, but I would be loud, I would be clear, I would communicate what you need, and I would not give up on that until it becomes clear that you have a different decision to make here. And I really hope he can step up because I understand your pain entirely. And I hope this helps.